Money, money, money must be funny in the rich man's world. Money, money.
Greetings from Castle Goring, from Mickey, Aurora, and from me. Well, before anything else, I'm going to start off by saying thank you very much, those of you who asked about Mish's Tea Party. It was a howling success. In fact, it was such a success that I asked everybody back here for a tour of the castle and a glass of champagne. So what should have lasted for 2 hours ended up lasting for 6. Anyway, it was good fun. And to give you a taste of it, I'm going to ask that they post 1 or 2 pictures now. Okay? Oh, well, today is World Mental Health Day. Interesting, isn't it? Because we have afforded to us the perfect demonstration of why the British monarchy does not permit intermingling with commercial activity, and why any royal charitable initiative, while it can be backed by by businesses, does not ever have partnerships with the businesses whereby the charities or the causes are compromised by the commercial aspect. Because it's one thing to raise money for charity, and this I know because for many years I was one of the leading fundraisers unpaid for charity in this country. And I don't say it idly. I was acknowledged by the Sunday Express magazine as I was listed as number 3 in the top 40 in about 1990 or 91 or 92, whenever it was, very long ago. But the point is, it is absolutely fundamental that charity work is never sullied or compromised by suspicions arising out of commercial activity. And we have the perfect demonstration of it taking place today. On the one hand, you have in Birmingham, the Prince and Princess of Wales exploring our emotional worlds as a part of Heads Together, the charity which they started in about 2014, I think it was, with Harry. Now, the Princess of Wales's brother, it's no secret, had huge problems with depression, and Harry has, by his own admission, huge problems with mental illness, not mental health, mental illness. Well, it's one thing for the Prince and Princess of Wales, and when Harry was a part of that team, to farm out the areas of expertise and to be influenced by the genuine experts, the medical experts. For instance, Heads Together has affiliations with 8 mental health charities, chief of which is Mind. Now, I have raised funds for Mind in the past, and I know some of the people who used to be at Mind, and it's a very worthwhile cause. It's sound, it's solid, it is beyond suspicion. So we have that taking place in Birmingham, and we have across the pond, as they say, which actually is an expression I absolutely hate. So, in fact, I'll say what I think. On the opposite side of the Atlantic, we have in New York Harry and Meghan. Harry and Meghan. They're going to be taking part in another charity, and they have an event called, we've got to go with Archewell or however it's being pronounced today. Foundation's Parent Summit, Mental Wellness in a Digital Age, will feature speakers who are passionate about building a safer online world for children and teenagers. Right there we get two of their bugbears. Passion, because they can't be invested in anything, because that would be too close to the reality, which is they're financially invested in their welfare. So the word investment, even as an emotional thing, couldn't be used. It's got to be at full fever pitch about everything, passionate. Even in their press releases, it's got to be passionate about building a safer online world for children and teenagers. Do we get this sniff of censorship here? Now, I'm not saying that there are not problems that parents face with monitoring their children's online activity. But you know, there's a really simple solution to all of this. The companies can provide switch on and switch off aspects to anything and everything. And the parents will be the ones who censor, not the government. That's, I think, a very important part of things. And Archewell's spokesman said, the families have been engaged with the Archewell Foundation for the past year, bolstering community and driving towards solutions, whatever that means. Together, they are united in their mission to share personal experiences, data, and research to ensure the same does not happen to other families. Well, I have to tell you, it's really very interesting, because if you examine reasonably carefully the parties concerned with the Sussexes, you come up with an absolutely chilling answer to the question, what is this all about? And it's the organization that they are linking up with is not, I'm trying to find a diplomatic way of putting it. It is ostensibly about, well, it flies under the colors of mental health for children. But it is under the aegis of something called Project Healthy Minds, which is a non-profit. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get very, very cautious about all these non-profits that are companies. Let's remember, we're speaking about companies. So, and a company is essentially a business. We're speaking about companies that say their mission is for the good of humanity. But the reality is that the companies concerned are actually structuring organizations that will empower them to have oversight and control over the populace without being elected by anybody to do so. Now, we have various organizations that have already overreached, you could almost say. The World Economic Forum, that's not a state organization. That is a company. It's like Chrysler or American British Tobacco, if there's such a company, because the company keeps on changing its name. Or like Berger Paints. It's a company. Well, Project Healthy Minds is a company. They have organized this. It's the second year running. Harry and Meghan have got involved through Netflix. Netflix is associated with this project. But it's not only Netflix. It is an absolute host of companies that, under the guise of care for the populace, these companies are actually furthering their financial and political interests and garnering power for themselves. Well, anyway, the Project Healthy Minds is being presented by Carson Daly. Well, some of you might remember Carson Daly because he had a little bit of a scrape. Let's put it that way. A far bigger scrape than Dan Wooten or Lawrence Fox had, or Calvin Robinson. His career didn't suffer. Because really, what this organization is doing is, if you inquire deeply into its structure and the constituent parts of it and who is on its board, because it has a board that's almost as long as the alphabet, with only one doctor and one nurse on it. Everybody else is something to do with Hollywood or BlackRock or some financial institution, but heavy on the Hollywood media aspect. And they invite you to go onto their website and provide your details, including your email. This is what Archewell does as well. And remember, Archewell, when it asks you to pitch an idea, not only does it demand that you waive your rights to everything about the idea, but that also you are obliged, if they go ahead with it, to actually do what they say. So you end up giving them your idea and you really don't benefit. How does that one work? Compassion. Gosh, I didn't know compassion was spelled G-R-E-E-D. Nor did I know it was spelled O-P-P-O-R-T-U-N-I-S-M. Stupid me. Oh, gosh. To think I've achieved 74 years on this earth and didn't realize those basic facts. So after you provide Project Healthy Minds with your information, they will then get in touch with you for you to get back in touch with them. But by then they have harvested your details, which they can sell on to other companies. Do you begin to see that charity shouldn't really have such exploitative dimensions? But the founder and CEO is someone called Phil Shermer. Of course, Mr. Shermer is a wonderful man. He's so marvellous. He gave up being chief of staff to the vice chairman of BlackRock, and he then gave up being global. Global, here comes the word global again. Whenever you hear the word global, you know, your ears better perk up, because it's a message that you better listen to. Global Chief Marketing Officer at BlackRock. Now, BlackRock is a $9 trillion investment company. It is the largest investment company in the world. It is more powerful and richer than many governments, and it wields more influence and power than many governments. Now, I'm not going to criticize BlackRock, because BlackRock has made money for many people I know. However, BlackRock functions beyond politics. When Elizabeth Warren tried to get to the bottom of whether the government, the US government, was going to actually be at all concerned about the fact that BlackRock was so big that if it failed, it would devastate the world's economy, she got absolutely nowhere. Sorry. Anyway, Phil Shermer has given all of that up to head up this company. This non-profit company. We need to remember it's non-profit. Of course, non-profits, as we all know, I mean, if your expenses are $50 million a year, and remember, you're so important that you have to fly in a private jet, well, non-profits will absorb all those expenses. So, in fact, in my and many other people's opinions, non-profits are just a tax wheeze that the system has been set up to facilitate the rich. Now, I don't think anybody can accuse me of having anything against the rich. So when I say something like that, I think people should actually perk up their ears and listen. Well, let's look very briefly at the links between the founder of this supposedly wonderful Project Healthy Minds that is going to be having this, I suppose you could call it, symposium that is going to be focusing on all these wonderful things, packed up with entertainment people and really smoke blowers, because that's what they are. They're blowing smoke up each other's orifices, trying to convince everybody how wonderful they are, when in fact it's a massive networking exercise and a massive virtue signaling enterprise that, had they not structured it the way they had, might actually have done some good. But is it going to be really doing any good? Well, of course, they've managed to rope in the US Surgeon General, but Mr. Murty, I am not sure about him. Let's put it that way. I'm going to show you some of the links between BlackRock and Hollywood and this supposed worthy cause that by Archewell's own account is an attempt to muzzle freedom of speech by pressing the fair button and trying to whip up a frenzy so that the politicians will be able to withhold civil liberties, which the American Constitution assures people of, by whipping up fear. Notwithstanding the fact that the companies concerned, and I'm now referring to the internet companies and the phone companies and the computer companies, have the capacity already to install flick switches that parents can control. But anyway, Tom Donilon is the Investment Institute chairman of BlackRock. He was chief of staff to Bill Clinton, and he is a former national security advisor, to Barack Obama. His brother, he has two brothers. One, Terry Donilon, is the communications director for Cardinal O'Malley in Boston. And Mike Donilon, whom the Washington Post described as President Biden's conscience, alter ego, and shared brain, has been his longtime advisor since 1981. His sister-in-law is Catherine Russell, who is a political activist who is currently serving as executive director of UNICEF. She was previously director of the White House Presidential Personnel Office, United States Ambassador at Large for Global Women's Issues, and chief of staff to Jill Biden when she was the vice president's wife. Do you begin to see that this is actually a very heavily political thing? You don't yet? Well, I'm going to tell you a few other people. There's Jackie Canny, who is this wonderful entities. What's it called again? I can't even remember the name of it now. Project Healthy Minds. I can't remember the name of it because it just sticks in my craw. Anyway, Project Healthy Minds. She is the Chief People Officer of ServiceNow, talent strategist growing the global workforce, formerly co-chairman of the World Economic Forum Future of Work Task Force. Are we getting dots to connect? and she is a member of Rework America Business Network. Then you have David Rota, Senior Director of Global Client Partnerships, Netflix. That's how Meghan and Harry get into all of this. Meghan and Harry, in case you haven't figured out yet, well, it's really Meghan. She is a real mover and a shaker and a real hustler. And she is milking her royal status via Harry for all it is worth. And I'm not even going to bother to go into the 20 or 15 or 20 other members of the board who are from various things like Viacom, and not even Viacom Toto, Viacom's music group. There's Elisa Bick, Senior Vice President, Enterprise Partnerships and Operations at NBC Universal. Will Cady, Global Brand Ambassador, Reddit. Trevor Elk, Principal Creative Director, Amazon Music. Brad Haugen, President, Westbrook Media at Westbrook Music, connected to Will Smith. Oh, you have, let me see. Oh, yes. Sorry. I'm jumping the gun. You have Susie Aarons. I've lost my place. President of Strategic Communications Division, 42 West, which is a leading PR firm. You have Glenn Briffa, who is the former CEO of Viacom's music group and Media Link, very closely connected to Scooter Braun, who is also associated with this. I mean, wait for it. You have Peggy Burns, Associate Dean of Development and Alumni Relations, Harvard Graduate School of Design, which recently had Kim Kardashian giving a speech there. So this is all about fame and success. It's not really about the welfare of the child. They are going to pontificate and blow smoke up everybody's you-know-what's-it. And there's doubtless going to be wonderful press because half of them are associated with the press in one way, shape or form or the other. Or then they're associated with Hollywood. And as we all know, Hollywood and the press get along like armpit and deodorant. So let's go to the next question. Glenn Cheatham says, how will a drug addict and a lunatic help anyone with their mental health? Well, my dear, when the lunatics are guarding the asylum, you know that things are going to be run to everyone's satisfaction. Mickey, quick, get Motty Coke. She has a parch in her throat and she needs something to sort of soothe her. Feel the sniffles coming on as well. I hope I'm not catching a cold. Of course, I would not go as far as saying that Harry was a drug addict, But I certainly would go as far as saying that Harry has certainly confirmed that he has been abusing drugs for a considerable length of time. In fact, from when he was an early teenager, which means that since your brain doesn't stop developing until you're 25, he has already interfered with the development of his brain. And I am certainly of the school of thought that Harry was born with nutrient deprivation as a result of Diana's bulimia, because I do not think of Harry's history that he was actually born totally healthy, let's put it that way. And his certainly behavior indicates that whatever he is, he's not healthy. Now, if he was born with some, shall we say, effects, we have to have a great deal of sympathy for him. It doesn't alter the fact, though, that that is hardly somebody who actually, having revealed to the world how heavily reliant he has been on drugs to clear the mind. Windshield wipers. Ayahuasca, ayahuasca, ayahuasca. Windshield wipers. Is that an advocate for mental health? I don't think so. And Meghan, of her own account, if you read what she said on her blog, I don't think so. And certainly her conduct does not suggest that she is someone who I would regard, and any sane, sensible person who didn't have an axe to grind and money to make, would regard as an exemplar, especially when discussing civil liberties, which neither she nor Harry happen to believe in by their own account, or mental health for anybody, in particular children. I mean, do we have, if we are supposed to take them at face value, why would we be accepting that they are qualified to make any contribution to the parent-child debate when they secrete their children as if they were guilty secrets? Margaret Greenwood says, it appears the fast the Harkles are attending is run by and for BlackRock World Economic Forum. She rarely is poking her nose into murky politics. Yes, BlackRock, World Economic Forum, Netflix, Hollywood, they're all heavily involved in this. You know, it's very light on medical people. There are only 2 medical people at all on the board. How does that work with a mental health charity? Oh, sorry, I forgot. It's not a charity. It's a non-profit. And let's not forget, Netflix is in there as well. Teresa Faria says, isn't it the ultimate hypocrisy that these 2 grifters who employed Boozy and the Sugars to bully royal supporters online would then turn around and participate in a panel to protect children from bullying online and the danger to their mental health? Do they not see the joke? Also, I'm sorry, but Henry Windsor is no one to be giving young men and women advice. If I were a parent here, I would be horrified that a self-proclaimed junkie who is going around promoting the use of ayahuasca, a deadly substance when misused, was giving any child any kind of lessons. Henry Windsor should be used as a poster boy of what not to do. He certainly should be used as a poster boy of what not to be as well. It's not a joke, though. I don't think anything to do with children is a joke. And I actually have a great sense of humor, as some people might have figured out. And I will laugh at practically anything. But I'm afraid my teeth skin when it comes to the welfare of children. Although, Teresa Faria, I know what you meant. You meant it's a real farcical situation, which it is. It's a sick joke. And you know, had Harry and Meghan kept their mouths shut and not trashed everybody and not shown us that their characters are anything but what I would regard as admirable, they might have been able, had they crossed the Atlantic and behaved in a constructive, civilized, respectful manner, respectful of the rights of their families, respectful of their duty to the Crown and the Commonwealth and to the British nation. They could have used their prestige as not exemplars, but as beacons for attention for the cause, because that's what many grandees do. They don't have to be experts, but what they have to have is a clean pair of hands. They have to have a good reputation. Otherwise, it's an insult to people. And yet again, we are being treated to a situation where Hollywood and the powers that be in the media feel that they can simply ignore Harry and Meghan's insufficiencies and inadequacies and unsuitability for this role, and that we are supposed to think, oh, aren't they wonderful? I think not. Melissa Crawford says, Archewell or Archewell, because it really should be Archewell, is sharing their data and research. Does that mean they are going to use Bozo the Clown's red spirograph report? The same report that Twitter said was inaccurate and not true? So in reality, the Harkles are spreading disinformation again. Well, Melissa Crawford, we certainly don't know what graphs and reports they will be coming up with. But if their Netflix foray and all their other forays are anything to go by, they have never limited themselves to accurate or factual information before. So why would they start now? So, but let us wait and see. And yes, they do employ people who go around spreading dis and misinformation and targeting their critics and other members of the royal family, because the way in which their followers have behaved towards the Wales family is absolutely reprehensible. I mean, I just am astonished that people don't complain. Susan Smart says, I don't know how they can have the nerve to talk about online security when their own paid squaddies are putting out wishes that the Waleses and their children would succumb to something dreadful so that Harry and Meghan can ascend to the throne. The organisers should be ashamed to have the toxic pair on the platform. I couldn't agree more. Harry and Meghan have praised the Sussex Squad, notwithstanding the tremendously vicious and nasty and really hateful and, quite frankly, at times illegal things that have been mooted with regards to Harry's brother, sister-in-law, niece and nephews. But you know, as we have been witnessing recently, there's one law for people who are of one claimed political affiliation, that is the illiberal neo-puritanical censors who wish to virtue signal everybody into Musselment. And then there are those who actually believe in truth and justice and fair play, who must be silenced because truth, justice, and fair play are evils. Don't take my word for it. Ask them. Deborah Wohlfeld says, New Yorkers don't want them here. Many have lodged complaints with the mayor's office. This will be their third trip to the city. Now to redeem their reputation, they attach themselves to organizations but claim credit as being the hosts. They only have a slot segment as speakers on a panel. They repeatedly attached themselves to vulnerable, at-risk children's families, like the book reading in Harlem. Now this event that is in regards to online security for children and youth. This sounds like a front for censorship. It is a front for censorship. Wait until we hear what they have to say. It is a front for censorship. They're going to be all very concerned about the fact that there are certain things that young people might be able to access. Well, as I said, the means already exist for parents if the companies will provide the switches to turn things off. There's also an alternative. Don't give the child a phone. And I know that you can block a lot that's what's on computers. I'm very untechnological, so I don't know about phones, but I would imagine if there isn't, there can be a way of doing it. Leanne Verrier says, we have all been stupid, but we have been played by masterminds who know how to manipulate our emotions and our compassion. Some of the things being done have been beyond our comprehension because it is not native, not within us, to even imagine the possibility of such things. I would say that Harry has been played very well into believing he is cleaning up the press. His limited knowledge of his mother's experience gives him a weakness that has been easily channeled into becoming a slave to his new masters. From there, his other weaknesses allow him to justify all his actions against his families and the people that they serve. Well, Leanne Verrier, you have a very interesting point of view. There is little doubt of what I have been told, that Harry has been played, but Harry has been played by someone who has released the genie that was in the bottle, and he has been liberated, that genie, and Harry is free. Free. So he may not be as happy as he used to be, but he is more satisfied than he used to be. Because, you know, appetites need to be sated. And his seemed to not only have been sated, but he has been satiated. The fact of the matter is that with another spouse, none of this would be happening where Harry's concerned. But we all have a dark side and a light side. And Meghan has played upon Harry's dark side because Meghan, I have been told by people who know her very well and have known her for a very long time, is power crazed. She loves a power. She wants power. She enjoys wielding a power. It's not enough to have influence. She needs to crack the whip. And she does it. And she does it. And he is Othello to her Iago. But he needs to accept credit where it is due, and his just deserts are that he should be rewarded for all he has done since she showed him he was trapped, untrapped him, freed him, that is, the genie's out of the bottle, and he's having the time of his life. And he also likes power. Harry loves throwing his weight around. He always did like throwing his weight around. Harry, I am told by friends of mine whose children were at school with Harry, was not at all popular at Eton because Harry was not shy about, shall we say, pulling rank, while William was actually popular because William didn't pull rank. Harry also indicates in his book Spare that he's always had a mean streak in him and that he has always indulged that mean streak as and when he wished to do so. Remember the cruel way he treated that unfortunate woman at Eton? Need I say more? You know, kind children going to kind adults, cruel children growing to cruel adults. I don't think I would regard the way he treated his grandparents as they were dying as anything but evidence of callousness at best and actual cruelty. Because if you can't treat grandparents you love well, who can you treat well? Oh, I'm sorry, of course, I know who you have to treat well. Your dominatrix. AGR says, Lady C, I know you don't need another crown, but I don't have any crowns. Actually, I do. A friend of mine gave me a fake crown for my birthday last year. But I don't wear fake crowns or coronets or tiaras, so it's there purely for decoration. But sorry, let me not interrupt. I know you don't need another crown, but how do you feel about being a gay icon? I think we'll end on that note, don't you? Will I feel about being a gay? I don't think I'm a gay icon, actually. I'd be very surprised if I were a gay icon. I know that ordinary people like me because I get feedback from them all the time. I mean, if I go shopping, I also know that honorable people like me because they come up to me. I mean, for instance, last week I was at the opera with some friends, and two separate sets of people came up to me and told me how much they admire what I do and the stand I take on things. So, but I would have thought, I don't think I'm a gay icon, but if I were a gay icon, I'd think, thank you very much. Very nice of you to make me an icon. But I don't think I'm an icon. No, this is not a gay icon. No. However, if I am, I'm not complaining. And on that note, I'll say thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been of some interest to you. If it has, please keep the questions and comments coming in so I will know what you would like us to speak about. Okay, thank you so much. God bless. Bye-bye. And if you've really enjoyed this, please like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and Godspeed.